2, 1.
Keep pushing. Fertig. In Wisla. You can do it.
It's 4.7 seconds. 5.6 seconds. It's a one of a kind, only in the DTM. Yes, man, you did it. Thank you, guys.
Go, 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 go!
Yeah!
Hello and welcome from a very sunny Nürburgring here in Germany. Only 3 more races to go, and yes, we're looking forward to a very exciting race. And one thing's for sure, yesterday we saw a very physical race, and I'm pretty sure today it's going to be just as exciting. And with me is Matthias Ekström. Now, Eki, yesterday you only managed to collect 1 point. Today you're starting from P17. What are you struggling with this year that the Nürburgring is not quite your circuit?
No, I mean, if we would know, we would probably change it. We're doing the best we can, but so far we don't, should I say, we don't really find the sweet spot of the car that I can drive it in there. So for the moment, 2 times P17 is not really good, so race is still long.
But in general, if I can quote you, you said that coming to Hockenheim, if you're only 10 points behind Wehrlein, then you can still manage to grab the title. So what's your opinion on that now?
Yeah, it will be difficult for sure because he did a good job yesterday, and now it's some more points, but I know how quick things can change, so we have to be smart and try to be pushing everything we can all the way to the end.
Well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Matthias Ekström. And now here's a summary of the race yesterday. Dave Richardson.
Thank you, Verena. As the lights went out, then it was Lucas Auer taking his maiden pole position. Gary Pavitt, as you can see, and also Robert Wickens went to the extreme outsides of the circuit to try and make a move, but it was Maxime Martin and Pascal Wehrlein, and that was the collision between Pascal Wehrlein and Maxime Martin. Lucas Auer was strung out to the outside, and Pascal Wehrlein ended up losing another couple of places as well. Let's see it again in replay here. Pascal there, as you can see, turns in, but the gap he was turning into was full of the BMW of Maxime Martin, who had had a phenomenal start. Unfortunately, Jamie Green got turned around and was collected by Molina, and also lumped into the side of Timo Scheider at the same time. So that brought out the suspension of the race. And here was Pascal Wehrlein less than happy with Maxime Martin stealing the place that he wanted to turn into. Some repairs were made to Pascal Wehrlein's car on the grid, and the race resumed with Maxime Martin looking very, very comfortable in the front and moving and gapping P2 behind him. Retirement for the hero of Oschersleben, Tom Blomqvist, and Matthias Ekström from his lowly qualifying had got to work very, very hard. Eduardo Mortara and Bruno Spengler were the next to clash panels. And Bruno Spengler less than happy with that. And eventually, Bruno Spengler, sadly, would go on to retire. There was lots of bumping and nerfing going on through the chicane.
I know, Bruno, try to do your best. Now you lost a piece in the front. Maybe now is a bit better. Try to do your best.
Well, it didn't get a bit better, unfortunately, for Bruno Spengler, who punctured a rear tyre, as you can see there, and that inevitably would bring about the end of the race for the BMW driver. Matthias Ekström didn't have a lot of problems getting past Mike Rockenfeller to at least get into the points, but as Eduardo Mortara and Pascal Wehrlein, of course, arch enemies in the championship at the moment that we saw there, but Maxime Martin sealed his second win of his DTM career, his first, of course, coming last year in Moscow, and the board says Maxime P1 easy. Well, he took P1, Edo Mortara was second, and Pascal Wehrlein was P3. And there we can see Pascal Wehrlein with Lucas Auer, and it was a surprise pole position for Lucas Auer as we take a look at this fantastic Nürburgring circuit, which we're here, and then the championship reaches its conclusion at Hockenheim in a couple of weeks' time. And there is Gary Paffett. I'm going to say a lowly qualifying. Well, of course, it wasn't a lowly qualifying because it didn't even get out. To explain more, alongside me, delighted to welcome Chris Hartley.
Hello, Dave. Hello, everybody. Yep, Gary Paffett, I'm afraid, after a good performance yesterday, he got 4th place in the race, getting that position on the final lap. Was looking pretty good in warm-up. 5 minutes to go. He had an engine problem, so didn't qualify at all. A quick word now with Verena is Pascal Wehrlein.
Yes, indeed, he's here. Now, Pascal, yesterday you had a very interesting strategy in regards to the number of tires you used, which may have cost you a few positions today, but maybe you can explain that a little bit.
Yes, so definitely it was a compromise for today. We used 3 new sets of tires yesterday, 1 in the race, because I started from P3 and we thought, yeah, we should go for the win, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And but still on the podium wasn't too bad, but it was a compromise for today, but still I'm optimistic.
All right, well, best of luck for the race. In fact, as he is leading the championship and his 2 main competitors, Mortara and Eki, are far behind, so that should give him a good feeling. So back to you guys.
And the grid, which is Molina and Tom Blomqvist, row 2.
Jamie Green still in contention for the title, is 3rd. Paul de Resta equals his season best 4th.
Bruno Spengler will be hoping for better luck today from P5, and Augusto Farfus, BMW lockout on that particular row.
Row 4, Robert Wickens and the debutant this season, Max Scott, who went well yesterday.
So championship leader goes from P9. He has the current champion alongside him on row 5.
Timo Klock had a couple of moments and spins in qualifying with Mike Rockefeller alongside in 12th.
Then we see two-time champion Timo Scheider and Daniel Juncker-Deyer on the 7th row.
And on to row 8. He was on pole yesterday, but it's only 15th today for Lucas Auer. And the winner yesterday, Maxim Martin, is back in 16th.
Extraordinary. We see 2 Red Bull liveries together there. It's Matthias Ekström, P17, and Antonio Felix da Costa, P18.
And we have Christian Vitoris, 19th, and championship contender, 2nd in the championship, Mortara, back in 20th.
Nico Muller and Adrien Tombe then are P21 and P22.
With a broken engine from the warm-up, he couldn't qualify. Gary Paffett is 23rd. With an engine change yesterday, Martin Tomczyk has a penalty, so he starts 24th after missing the race yesterday.
So there is yesterday's race winner, Maxime Martin. Chris, this is the great thing about DTM for 2015. With 2 races across the weekend, you would think that almost race 1 would give us a form guide for race 2, but it doesn't.
It's been the case all season long, hasn't it? What happens on one day is totally different to what happens in the next. And, you know, conditions aren't all that different than they were yesterday. It's been a bit brighter, it's been a bit warmer, yes, but you've got guys that were flying yesterday that are really struggling today. And it's been the case all season long. One qualifying pattern doesn't follow the next day at the same track, and it's been the same with the race results, which is why we've had all these different race winners this season, 11 different winners already this season.
Well, there is the man at the sharp end of the championship. We saw him putting his crash helmet on, Pascal Wehrlein. This is former champion Mike Rockefeller. He's going from P12 in the Schaeffler Audi there. And Mike Rockefeller has got Scheider behind and Timo Glock ahead of him. So he has work to do from P12 as we look at Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, of course, head of Audi. The best of the Audis. Well, Molina then with a brilliant job for P1. Timo Glock, now you mentioned this as we were going through the grid. A torrid time of it actually in quali. He went round a couple of times, a couple of spins, didn't he?
He did, but he didn't pull out a bad lap in the end to get in 11th place. He's a driver that's been on the top step of the podium this season, but he might be able to do something from 11th position. For the championship contenders, Pascal Wehrlein just couldn't get any more out of the car this morning. He struggled for grip. He wasn't the only one struggling with the back end of the car. He's 9th, but his 2 rivals are right behind him. And Marco Wittmann, last year's champion, he finished in 7th place yesterday, Dave.
When you consider how dominant Marco Wittmann was last year, compare that to his performances this year, just shows you how wide open the DTM is. Great heli shot of the grid and a big crowd to enjoy the race in the sunshine here at the Nürburgring. As you can see, the stands absolutely jammed full. It's quite an unforgiving circuit, Nürburgring. It's, Chris, as you have described, a circuit very much of two halves with twisty sections in one half and then a bit smoother and more pace in the second half of the lap, if you like. As we look at the grid there, Molina, Blomqvist, Green, De Resta, Spengler, Farfus, Wickens, Gertz, Wehrlein, Wittmann, then it's Glock and Rockefeller, and there is the second page. And by explaining what I'm saying there, it's you know, the first section of the lap is twisty through that Mercedes arena, isn't it? But when you get kind of released from that and down onto the straight that is behind the paddock area, you can really let go a bit.
That's right, yeah. It's a compromise on the setup because the setup that you really need for the first part of the lap is very different to the setup you need for the very quick, very fast-flowing second half of the lap. 65% are full throttle. There is the championship leader then. And Dieter Gass is speaking with Verena right now.
So, question being, Eki and Mortara all the way in the back. So I'm wondering, are you putting all your money on Jamie Green, who's starting from P3, to win the race and then be your best contender from Audi?
Well, I think first of all we want to win the race, full stop. I mean, Miguel is on a pole position, fifth pole position for him. He has never won a race so far, so maybe today is the day. But if Jamie wins the race, obviously we would be very happy as well, as long as it's Audi in front.
I was just going to say, in regards to the championship, it'd be nice if Molina wins, but that's not going to help.
Yeah, sure, but I think it's difficult to win a race at all already. So I don't think you can make too many strategic games in trying to get the one winning that you want to win, because there's still a few other cars around as well.
Right, so we'll see if Molina might block. Who knows? So thank you very much, Dieter Gass. Best of luck for the race. And back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. Journalistic tendencies there, trying to get the very best out of Dieter Gass. Come on, what's the plan then? Well, he's not telling a lie, is he? It's very difficult to win the race anyway, let alone think about the championship. But, of course, Mortara and Ekstrom being where they are, you know, hopes rest surely with the orange car from P3, which is Jamie Green.
Yeah, Jamie's had 3 wins this season. They all came at the start of the year. He's 48 points now behind the championship leader Pascal Wehrlein, sits in 4th place. After today, there'll only be 50 points up for grabs, so he's got to go and make the most of this. Of the 4 championship contenders, he is in the strongest situation here, so let's see what Jamie can do. Frustration yesterday, but he has been quick this week. And there is the championship point standing situation then. 27 points the lead for Pascal Wehrlein. The only way he could wrap it up today is to take the victory. BMW not perhaps in the best position on the grid, but going well.
Points as we can for the championship. Hopefully a good race, and yeah, let's see.
And do you think it's going to be as physical as yesterday?
Well, it's the same corners that we have as yesterday, so yeah, I think we can expect something similar.
All right, well, have a fantastic race. Thank you, Jens Marquardt, and back to you.
Thanks. Rubbing to come then, as predicted by Jens Marquardt, of course, the best BMW on the grid in terms of championship opportunities is Marco Wittmann. He's down there in P5, and he starts from P10 on the grid. So Jamie Green then, who had a torrid time of it yesterday, and severe damage meant that his race was ended somewhat earlier than he would have liked. Tom Blomqvist goes from P2. Of course, he comes here pretty high on confidence, although he had a retirement yesterday. Of course, he took his maiden win at Oschersleben just a couple of weeks ago, and so therefore he feels he's at one with the car now. And as Dieter Gass said, Miguel Molina has not yet taken a win. Is today going to be his day?
Yeah, Miguel has had a podium this year. He got pole position in one race earlier on in the season at Lausitzring, but only finished 4th. And his best ever result is a 2nd place finish at the Hungaroring last year. So looking for his maiden victory. Tom Blomqvist has already taken his maiden victory last time out, and he's qualifying really well now. 3 times out of the last 4, he's been in the top 3, and this is his 2nd front row start. So BMW not in a position really to win now the Drivers' Championship. But Dave, they are still leading the Manufacturers' Championship after a great couple of rounds. Mercedes scored best yesterday, actually, and have now moved ahead of Audi. So Audi 3rd in the manufacturers' standings, which they'll want to put right today.
Yes, of course they will. And Well, they've put themselves in the best position to do so, haven't they, with cars P1 and P3. So there's Miguel, there's Tom Blomqvist, and there is Jamie Green. And here is the grid once again on screen for you. Molina, then Blomqvist, then Green, Di Resta. Good qualifying for Paul Di Resta, and we've not really mentioned him, P4. Bruno Spengler, Augusto Farfus, Robert Wickens, and Maximilian Gertz, who really seems to have switched it on this weekend. And it's Pascal Wehrlein, of course, is top of the championship at the moment. Marco Wittmann, Timo Glock, Mike Rockefeller. Then it's Scheider, Juncker Deya, Lucas Auer, and Maxime Martin, yesterday's winner, before we see Matthias Ekström, Antonio Felix da Costa, Christian Vittorius, Eduardo Mortara. Then it's Nico Muller, Adrian Tombe, and then Paffett and Tomczyk affected by engine changes. The BMW bank car there of Bruno Spengler kicking up a bit of smoke as it runs over the curb. It kicked up a bit more than that yesterday when he was nerfed and tussled, and various bits of bodywork came off the car, and he was none too happy at the end of the race, it has to be said, but he will, of course, try and put that right today. 3.629 kilometres this circuit here at the Nürburgring, and that's the second half of the lap that I was alluding to earlier, which we zoom into now, and then they slow up, heavy braking before this NGK chicane, which is very, very uphill, and they throw the cars through there, and Maximilian Gertz was certainly someone that threw it through yesterday.
Yes, a bit bouncy over the curbs at one point, which rather threw Mike Rockenfeller's chances of a good top 6 finish out of the window. But it's into the first corner where we saw all of the action.
Really, really sharp, and it's downhill. There is a lot of runoff area.
Go, 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 stop.
Pascal Wehrlein being guided into his pit box then by engineers and live team radio that we're able to bring you at strategic points during the course of the race. So we're in the Audi garage now. It's the turn of BMW and now to Mercedes-Benz. Pascal being advised, last car is in position, which means the start sequence is about to get underway. It's the second race here at the Nürburgring for DTM 2015. We get the green flag from the marshal at the rear of the pack. We will throw the lights to the left-hand side of the screen that you can see. Lights out, let's go racing, and a brilliant start for Bruno Spengler, who just avoids the stricken Jamie Green, who's had a torrid start and didn't get off the line. So it's Molina that leads, then it is Tom Blomqvist, and then, as you said, Chris, all heck will break loose through turn 1, and it does. We've got 2 cars off. That's Timo Scheider and Robert Wickens.
This one was again fantastic.
Timo Scheider.
Yes, I just see it, Timo. Just see it. Go deep on the gravel.
Rather nonplussed, Timo Scheider sort of resigned to the fact turn 1 was wonderful again for me. He's out of contention already, but a shocking start, I'm afraid, for... Oh, as Gary Paffett's had a moment as well from the back of the field, so trying to charge through, but the other British driver in real strife was Jamie Green off the line. He dropped to plumb last. He really, really needs to try and win this race. It's not likely to happen now, is it?
No, it isn't. Jamie Green failing to get off the line.
Safety car deployed, safety car deployed.
As you can hear from the team radio, no surprise that the safety car is deployed. Pascal Wehrlein being advised of that. So Jamie Green not getting off the line then, and it was just such a brilliant start from Bruno Spengler in terms of his avoidance of that Jamie Green car, because it could have been absolutely devastating, but no, he managed to get around it. And then all heck once again broke loose through turns 1 and 2, and we certainly saw Timo Scheider beached in the gravel and Robert Wickens involved as well. There's Matthias Ekström weaving from side to side. There he has yesterday's race winner Maxime Martin behind him, and the safety car is deployed before 1 lap is completed.
It's all working out nicely for the championship leader, this, Pascal Wehrlein. He doesn't have a great qualifying. He is, those we said, carrying the heaviest car with success ballast compared to anybody else out there. His 2 closest rivals didn't qualify that well, and his 3rd closest rivals just had a terrible start. So he's up into 6th place, and here, Dave, we're going to get a replay of the start.
So there, they all go around. Eventually, he does get going, doesn't he, Jamie Green? But as you can see there from that Ellie shot, that Jamie really, really struggling to get away, and every single member of the pack manages to get past him, including the British driver Gary Paffett, who we saw having a go around later on in the lap. That was where both Scheider and Wickens went out.
Yeah, look like Wickens span into Scheider. I don't think there was... he was hit, that's why. So he's already been nerfed, and then offline, yeah, he just loses it. Scheider was on the outside.
Yeah.
And just bore the brunt of that, I'm afraid. So his luck continues. And it's mostly bad luck, I'm afraid. Jamie Green's car didn't sort of stutter and stop again, did it? It just never ever got going. So I wonder if it was some sort of electronical system problem rather than a driver thing.
Well, we're on board with Pascal Wehrlein as we replay the start. There he is right alongside the Augusto Farfus car, and held tight. His line just went off to the runoff area. That allowed for Farfus back through. This is Timo Scheider, and from the splitter cam that we have down on the front of the car, this is where he gets right alongside Robert Wickens. He's got the outside going into this line. He's right behind Pascal Wehrlein and Bosch. There comes the hit.
He actually had a mega start, didn't he, Timo Scheider? He was about to go around the outside of 4 or 5 cars, but as I've said before, when you put yourself on the outside line, you put yourself at risk. You know, fair enough having a go because he's not had a good season and he got a great start, but if somebody else loses it, you're the one that bears the brunt of it because gravity and lateral forces always take the cars to the outside of the corner. Scheider out, I'm afraid, completely.
Okay, so this was, it's Marco Wittmann on Gary Paffett there.
Wittmann must have had a terrible start.
Yes.
He was 10th on the grid, wasn't he?
Well, they're very disappointed. Timo Scheider is not going to get a lot of miles in today. The Robert Wickens car is in the pit lane for some repair work following that collision with Timo Scheider. And the repair work is going to be futile because he's out of the car and into the garage, Chris.
Yeah, more disappointment for him. More disappointment for another disappointing season for Timo Scheider. So who've been the winners in all that? Daniel Hunkadea's had the best of it, hasn't he? He's gone from 14th up to 9th place, so that's been pretty good for him. Ecky's 11th, so he's gained quite a few spots as well. And what about our man second in the championship, Edo Matara? He's 16th, so he's made up a few, but not loads.
Well, safety car is coming in this lap, so now it's down to Molina to back them all up. Tom Blomqvist is sticking with him, though, isn't he? Right on the back of him, and so too Paul Di Resta and Bruno Spengler, Augusto Farfus P5. Then we see the championship leader, Pascal Wehrlein, in P6. Marco Wittmann is under investigation then for that incident we saw with Gary Paffett as we watch the cars now. And Tom Blomqvist very nearly into the back of Miguel Molina. As Molina floors it now, and Tom Blomqvist could lose out here to Paul Di Resta. No, Paul Di Resta tucks back in. And, of course, Paul Di Resta is under threat from Bruno Spengler as well as the race resumes and restarts and actually gets underway properly now. So Molina leads from Tom Blomqvist. Blomqvist looking really, really threatened, though, by Paul Di Resta as Paul Di Resta takes a look up the inside. Don't think he's close enough, or is he? Not quite. So it's as they were then for the first few. We're on board with Pascal Wehrlein, who's following the Augusto Farfus BMW ahead of him. Of course, absolutely crucial for Pascal Wehrlein to move up as many places as he possibly can. As we found out at the beginning of the programme for Verena, his tyre strategy is perhaps a bit compromised today because they threw everything at yesterday. And he's certainly throwing everything at Augusto Farfus in the back of Augusto Farfus at the moment. So Pascal Wehrlein running down there in P6. We go back on board with him now as he pummels this Mercedes-Benz. Wittmann going to be reported to the stewards, as you can see on the screen, for that incident with Gary Paffett, who you can now see has got Marco Wittmann right behind him, but those two are right at the back of the pack. In the meantime, Pascal Wehrlein has got Maximilian Goertz behind him in P7. There's Daniel Juncadella, who, Chris, you said has made good. He's up to P9. We're on board with Matthias Ekstrom now, who also is going well. He's now in P11. He's got the Daniel Juncadella Mercedes-Benz ahead of him. Yeah,
Ecky just feigning one up the inside there, the most winning driver in the championship. And yeah, he's ahead of Mike Rockenfeller, so that's put him into the points now. He got 10th yesterday in a single point, but he got into 10th place late on yesterday. He's got a lot of time now to try and get even further up the order. So Ecky up into the points. The safety car definitely helping him out to some extent. The race leader is Miguel Molina. This whole Audi in the top 6 at the moment. And then you've got the BMW of Blomqvist, the Mercedes of Di Resta in 3rd place, which has been quick all weekend long, hasn't it?
Yes, and of course, Mike Rockenfeller helping out Matthias Ekstrom as well by not proving too much of a problem in terms of overtaking. There is Matthias Ekstrom. Here's the championship prediction at this very early stage of the race. Pascal Wehrlein on 163, Matthias Ekström 128, tied with Eduardo Mortara, then Bruno Spengler P4. That is Matthias Ekström that we're watching now, ahead of Mike Rockenfeller. This was certainly the case yesterday as well, as the pack comes through. Molina with a 1.2 second advantage over Tom Blomqvist, then it's De Resta, Spengler, Farfus, Wehrlein, Gertz, Glock, Juncker and Matthias Ekström is P10. And here's Matthias Ekström on Daniel Juncker and well, went in too deep, and that was never going to work out, was it?
He's definitely attacking, isn't he? The former champion, as he must really, with Wehrlein still running pretty high up the order in 6th place, the championship leader. And again, picking up points in this situation. He hasn't necessarily gone out and got loads of wins and podiums this year, but he's kept on banging in the points. Only twice has he been out of the top 10 out of the points, Pascal Wehrlein.
Molina looking very comfortable at the front, has extended his advantage to 1.5 seconds now. What is absolutely crucial for Molina is to get out of the opportunity that Tom Blomqvist could be in the DRS window. And at 1.5 seconds ahead, he is doing and achieving exactly that, as Edo Mortara gets past Lucas Auer, and Christian Vettori tucked in behind Lucas Auer as well at the moment. So Mortara moves up to P15. Christian Vettori all over the back of the Lucas Auer car, and Jamie Green is tucked in behind them as well.
Yeah, it was a bit scruffy into the first corner, locked up, ran wide, and that gifted the position to Mortara, really. And he's had a few mistakes down there, Lucas, but in his first season of DTM, he's doing okay. He's picked up a couple of 6th place finishes, including that one yesterday, and of course that pretty amazing pole position here.
Okay, the incident that we saw in turn 1 is considered a racing incident, so says race control. There is our race leader Molina, there's P2, Tom Blomqvist, and P3 is Paul De Resta as they come through the NGK chicane. And there is Matthias Ekström, definitely on attack mode, isn't he? He's got Daniel Juncker ahead of him. DRS is now enabled. Now, Molina has done a brilliant job here, Chris, because being 1.8 seconds ahead of Tom Blomqvist, Blomqvist is not going to have DRS to use on Molina. However, De Resta is going to have DRS to use on Blomqvist.
Yeah, you have to be within a second of the car ahead to be able to deploy DRS. So you open up the angle of your wing to 18 degrees, your rear wing, and it makes you slice through the air in a straight line. It's effectively giving you more brake horsepower and a boost, and then it's then disabled once you hit the brakes and slow down, and you get to use DRS up to 3 times in a lap. And there are no DRS zones, you can use it where you choose. But as you made the point yesterday, Dave, if you're in a train and you're right behind a car and there's a car right behind you, then you both get the benefit of DRS. So you can, in a way, use it to defend your position as well, as long as you've got somebody right in front of you. And at the moment, they're all staying tied together, apart from the race leader, Molina, as you say, doing a good job, just edging away, and he's done the fastest first sector of anybody as well.
And there you can see exactly what you're saying, as both Farfus and Wehrlein and De Resta are all using their DRS, and of course it's negating the advantage that any of them have, because you know, you're not able to gain, because all of them are able to use exactly the same boost bonus that they effectively get. The one that could be very, very under pressure because of it, though, is our P2 driver Tom Blomqvist, as Paul De Resta is right behind him now. Paul De Resta will have DRS available to him. Tom Blomqvist will not. You can see the wing slip up there. Is Paul De Resta going to dive to the inside now? Yes, he is, but he's not able to make it stick. Good defence there from Tom Blomqvist. He wasn't going to be harried through that turn 1. He knows if you get the turn 1 wrong, that's where Paul De Resta is clearly going to come through, but he wasn't able to quite make it stick. But we stick with this battle because this is going to be very, very exciting, because Paul De Resta theoretically should and will need to get past Tom Blomqvist, because he himself will fall prey to Bruno Spengler.
Yep, so De Resta in the Mercedes with absolute wealth of experience in DTM, whereas Tom is in his first season, having come from the Formula 3 European Championship. Paul pushing hard. He's only had a couple of podiums this season, one at the very beginning of the year at Hockenheim, one in Austria at Spielberg, and he's way out of the championship, so he's just going to try and get a result here if he can. But Blomqvist is edging back away from De Resta, of course, went on to race in Formula 1 with Force India. Would have watched the Singapore Grand Prix last weekend with fond memories. That was one of his better results in his F1 campaign, with one of his 4th place finishes there. So he's going well, Di Resta. Would have gone well, I'm sure, yesterday in the race had he not had a crash in qualifying, which put him at the back of the grid. But in all of the other sessions, has been quick. So the Scotsman pushing on. Molina, though, the Spaniard, leads the way. And second and third nose to tail again here, Dave.
Absolutely. So once again, they're going into turn one now. Is Paul Di Resta going to dive to the inside? Tom Blomqvist this time is defenceless. Try and cut back, but he's not going to be able to do so because Paul Di Resta closes the door. It's an overtake for Paul Di Resta, who goes up to P2 and puts Tom Blomqvist back down to P3. And Bruno Spengler is looking pretty lively as well. Now here is Pascal Wehrlein, who's still not been able to find a way past the Augusto Farfus BMW ahead of him. And now Paul Di Resta will try and get up the road in pursuit of the Molina car.
Gary Paffett, I'm afraid, is headed into the pits. So it's become a miserable Sunday for him after a very encouraging Saturday. So he's out of action by the looks of things. Robert Wickens, who went here 2 years ago, already out of the race. And so too Timo Scheider. And a replay of this move. Used the DRS, pulled out of the slipstream. He sort of set it up the lap before that one, figured out where he would be able to get through. Tom Blomqvist gave him the room, and the Merc was ahead of the BMW for second place. Now, can he do anything about the race leader, Molina, who is 2.7 seconds up the road?
Well, he really seems to have pace, doesn't he? Because now he's been released from the clutches of Tom Blomqvist. He is up the road a bit. Now, really under pressure is Augusto Farfus from Pascal Wehrlein, who's got his rear gunner, Maximilian Goertz, and also Danny Juncadella.
Di Resta overtook Blomqvist. I will give you his pace next lap.
So Molina then being advised of that situation. Now is Pascal Wehrlein going to have a go on Augusto Farfus. Here is Maximilian Goertz going to be in the mix as well. Augusto Farfus to the inside. Pascal Wehrlein, this is always a risky manoeuvre going around the outside, but he knows he's not going to come under threat from Maximilian Goertz, his Mercedes brand mate. And Bruno Spengler has got past Blomqvist as we continue with this battle here. Pascal Wehrlein desperately trying to find a way past the extremely wide BMW of Augusto Farfus. Augusto Farfus every right to defend, of course. Well, he's got to find a way past, and Bruno Spengler, as we said, has found a way past Tom Blomqvist, and this is how he did it, Chris.
Yeah, straightforward move down the straight, basically. Spengler, of course, still mathematically has a chance at the title. He hasn't won a race yet, but he still could do it, so they're going to get him up there as much as they can. And whoopsie daisy, Timo Glock having a bit of a coming together there with Daniel Juncadella rubbing shoulders. And here is Eki pulling off some action as well here. Yeah, he's up to 9th place now. So he used that as an opportunity and got past Glock, with Glock having been delayed with that contact with Juncadella. More action here. Pascal Wehrlein gets ahead of Augusto Farfus and gets through. Max Goetz is going to try and get past as well in the number 84 BMW. They're going to be wheel to wheel here. Goetz has got the inside line, Dave, though, for the next turn.
Absolutely, and here comes Danny Juncadella into the mix as well. They're 3 abreast going into turn 1. Juncadella's carrying so much speed. Oh, the last thing Pascal Wehrlein needed was Juncadella running into the back of him.
That was a good job from Juncadella, because he had to carry enough speed, be late enough on the brakes to get past the others. He was so committed to the move, but he had to make sure he stopped before he ran into the back of Wehrlein, which he did. So that was a very good move from Juncadella.
It was
a very
close.
Good move.
It was close, wasn't it? But this man, Matthias Ekström, is also really, really on a charge too. There he is. He's now tucked up behind Augusto Farfus. Mike Rockefeller taking a look at Timo Glock. Martin Tomczyk in there as well, but Pascal Wehrlein now, well, he will be aware of the fact that Matthias Ekström is making progress. Also, of course, for Pascal Wehrlein, just the most points that he can possibly bank is the important thing.
I have the feeling time pressure too low. That's also performance here.
Copy.
Which we did. Not exactly sure what Augusto Farfus was saying there.
He was asking about tyre pressures, wasn't he? So he's obviously not entirely happy with the handling of the car at the moment. And he struggled to keep them behind. And now he struggled to keep this man behind, Matthias Ekström, who is, as you say, under charge and getting further and further up the top 10 here. So Molina leads, Di Resta is second. The gap is coming down by and large, not necessarily on the last lap, but it's down to 2.8 seconds. And then we have Spengler third, Blomqvist fourth, Wehrlein, the championship leader, in fifth, and Juncadella in sixth. Out of the action, though, I'm afraid, is Gary Paffett. He's down there with Verena.
Gary, you had a big problem in the warm-up. That's why you had to skip the qualifying, and now it's over for you in the race as well. Couldn't you guys fix the car? What was the problem?
No, we had an engine failure in the morning, so we had to change the engine, which was a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. So the guys did a great job to get the car back together, but we just seemed slow on the straights, so seemed to be down on power with the engine now. So I don't know, we have to wait and see. We don't know what's wrong with it. So
Thank you very much, Gary, and back to you guys.
Well done, Farina, for getting hold of Gary Paffett then. Disappointed, of course, to be out. And Timo Glock is under investigation for pushing another car. Now, we know, Chris, that Pascal Wehrlein has got a tyre-compromised race today. And just looking at the pace of Danny Juncadella behind him, you can perhaps see how Pascal Wehrlein is not able to break away from either Danny Juncadella or from Maximilian Goertz.
No, but with a heavier car, you know, if you get the top 6, it's a decent result, because it does make a difference when they're so evenly matched. The middle third of the race is where you have to do your mandatory pit stop. We're getting into that now, and everybody's on the way to the pits. It's going to get slightly busy down there, and prepare to witness some super fast tyre stops now. Formula 1 style levels of tyre changing. It's just the tyres that change there, Dave. No refueling these days in DTM.
Absolutely not, as Matthias Ekstrom is in, Maxime Martin is in, Antonio Felix da Costa, let's stay on board with Matthias Ekstrom then. The team go to work super fast on the Eki car. Well, it's 4.1. Actually, that is not necessarily super fast. He's there with, has to yield to Timo Glock, but in ahead of Maxime Martin.
So he's lost a place to
He
Glock.
has.
Yeah, they were 9th and 10th with Eki in front. Now Glock ahead. No further action on that incident with Juncadella for Glock as well, so he's been acquitted of that by the stewards.
Now, the reason that Eki lost out there was because, actually, 4.1, it doesn't sound like it's a slow stop, but relative it is. We've seen 2.6 to 2.7.
Yeah, about 3 seconds is what you're aiming for. Why so?
It was that right-hand front, wasn't it, that was slow, and there, Glock's on his way down, isn't he? And nothing Eki can do about that. He's going to have to yield, isn't he?
Yeah, had to wait in turn to get back in. So it could put him back to 10th then, depending on what everybody else does with their tyre strategy. Molyneux stayed out, so the race leader stayed out. And Pascal Wehrlein, the championship leader, is coming in for his pit stop now and really pushing Dave on the way towards the pit lane limiter.
Also in is Maximilian Goertz and Augusto Farfus as well. I hope we stick with Pascal Wehrlein to see how quick this is going to be. They need a lightning stop from the team here for Pascal Wehrlein. And let's see if that is what's delivered.
Push and expect a lot of cars coming out of the pits. A lot of cars will come out of the pits. Pit lane is busy. Push now and expect cars in turn 1.
No! He's Pascal Wehrlein then.
Stuttering restart that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back behind Farfus.
Pascal, keep cool. Pascal, keep cool.
Well, apologies for Pascal's language. Clearly very, very disappointed with that, Chris.
There are 30 laps to go. 30 laps to go.
It's not the first time that Pascal has been told by his engineer to stay cool this weekend, is it? He was really, really annoyed with Maxime Martin after that coming together yesterday. Went and told him so as well when the race was stopped. And then, in hindsight, he said in the press conference later, no, I watched it again, and actually, to be fair, Maxime had a gap there, so he apologised during the press conference. But he's a fiery one, is young Pascal.
And I guess that's what makes him as successful as he is. You've got to have that fire, haven't you? As in comes from the race lead, Miguel Molina now. And again, another lightning stop needed for
I lost 3 second positions because of that.
Well, again, apologies for Pascal Wehrlein's language.
He's got a good command of English language, hasn't he? In terms of complaints, anyway.
We will get them back.
He's lost 3 places, he's saying, as a result of that, and letting the team know that he's not very happy with them.
Well, it's all very well his engineer saying you will get them back. He's the one that's got to go out there and earn them back, isn't he?
Just trying to keep him cool. You know, still doing well in comparison to his championship rivals as well, so it's all relative. We can get a replay of this now. Stop itself looked okay, Dave. It was the release that seemed the problem, didn't it? Let's have a look.
No, that front right again was
front left, wasn't it? As well?
Yeah, it was front left more than right. Sorry, apologies.
Yeah, he was ready to go. They just held him while it checked the nut.
And there's Maximilian Goertz, who of course he was ahead of, and also Augusto Farfus. And that is why.
He'd be a pit lane crew member. You got 3 seconds to sort yourself out. That's nothing, is it?
No.
And if you lose half a second, which is nothing again, you could lose, as we've seen, a couple of places in the race and have a very annoyed driver, probably a very annoyed team boss with you. But The only thing I would say is it's better to hold him and make sure the wheel nut was properly on than to send him out, go out, and the wheel drops off, which we have seen in the past, haven't we?
Happened, hasn't it? Yes.
You know, still in the race, still got a chance.
Well,
Rocky's staying out. He's gone through.
I was going to say,
leads the race, Mike Rockenfeller.
Who has not been in?
Top way. And Green. Well, Green might as well try something different.
Yeah,
he's staying out late as well.
Muller's another one, isn't he, that hasn't been in yet?
Peters has just gone in from 5th place as well, just into the pits in the Mercedes.
There is the...
wheel right on the car at first races.
I'm going to say there was the Matthias Ekstrom car. Could you decipher that one, Chris?
No.
Okay.
No. Only that he did say best pleased. Before the pit stops, you know, I was about to mention that Martin Tomczyk had got pretty close to being into the top 10 for the back of the field. He's going right. He didn't race yesterday with his engine drama. So, yeah, he was, I think it was 12th before the pit stops happened. So he's done a pretty good job from the back of the field. And he's tucked in behind Eki now. So, you know, he's a chance of points here, the 2011 champion. Fastest first sector of anybody for Miguel Molina with a 42.6. Now, he's got into 6th place, but the drivers ahead of him, in fact, he's 5th now because Vitoris has gone in, the drivers ahead of him have all yet to pit. So he's still ahead of Di Resta, by only by a second and a half, though, Dave. And he was 2.7 seconds the difference. So during the pit window, Di Resta has been able to catch up a little bit.
So we're watching Matthias Ekstrom then, and Timo Glock ahead of him. There's Junker Dea, Maximilian Goertz, Augusto Farfus and Pascal Wehrlein at the back of that pack, which he's so disappointed about. There's the Tomczyk car you were talking about.
Yeah, and Tombe and Green now in. Get out of the way, says Green. Come on, I want to get this done.
Can you tell me where you proxy one lap later?
Problem at the rear for Jamie Green.
Yeah, losing about a second there.
It was not the stop, it was the pit stop, and to prevent the unsafe release. That's what costed us the positions, not the timing of the pit stop. It was a poor pit stop, and then we had to stop because of unsafe release avoiding.
It's incredible. This Pascal is still questioning the team as to why he's lost these places. So the team is having to explain now. Look, it wasn't a great pit stop, but we had to hold you, else it would have been an unsafe release and we would have been penalised. So he's still going on about it rather than getting on and driving. I mean, there's nothing you do about it now, Pascal. You just got to get sort it out at the end of the race, speak with the team then, drive the car now. That's what you need to concentrate on.
I think he's writing a written warning for someone already, isn't he? Right. Well, I mean, it was absolutely right. You know, they would have been penalised if there had been an unsafe release. So, you know, they were right to hold him, weren't they? But unfortunately, it has cost him in terms of positions. But relative to others in the championship chase on the track, Pascal Wehrlein, as you mentioned just a few moments ago, is still in a reasonably good position, isn't he?
He is, yeah. So Rocky stays out again, still leading, enjoying his time at the front of the field. He's going to be the last man in. Muller's gone in now. So Molina is up to 2nd, but the leading pit stopper, Di Resta, will be up to 3rd, but that's going to be effectively 2nd. Then Spengler, then Blomqvist, and no change inside the top 4. Then Junker Dea, then Götz, then it's Farfus, and then Wehrlein, Glock, Ekstrom, Tomczyk.
And Wehrlein just taking a look at Augusto Farfus. Wasn't quite close enough into turn 1 to be able to make that move stick, but he's certainly trying, and he has the Augusto Farfus car to get past all over again because of the hold in the pit stop. So through the arena they go. It is Pascal Wehrlein there in car number 94 that we're watching behind the Augusto Farfus machine. Pascal Wehrlein losing out in the pit stop because he had to be held for fear of an unsafe release. And look at Martin Tomczyk, he's got his mojo today.
Yeah, pushing on, so 13th. We'll see where Rocky filters into this, though. He's going to be probably ahead of these guys. There is Matthias Ekstrom back behind Timo Glock now after losing out in the pit stop window. Jamie Green has gone backwards, if anything, during that pit stop. So he's down to 19th place now and likely to score points, which could well put him out of the championship now because he's already 51 points behind Pascal Wehrlein and he needs to stay within 50 to have any chance going into the final rounds at Hockenheim.
So Ekstrom and Timo Glock here, and just having gone through ahead of them, and we're back on board with Pascal Wehrlein.
24 laps to go.
24 laps to go. Is Pascal Wehrlein going to line up Augusto Farfus on this occasion? You can see the DRS wing drop. The He looks to the outside at this time, which is always a risky manoeuvre.
Who's going to try
runs out? Oh.
And then Glock and Ekstrom getting close
Yes.
together as well, just behind, and watching it all go on. Just behind them is the BMW Martin Tomczyk, so good little battle going on there. It was a good try from Wehrlein, but Farfus was equal to it. He saw what was coming, didn't
Yes.
he?
Mike Rockefeller's staying out there, isn't he? He'll be on rims shortly. Rubber will have gone completely, but...
you know, his lap times are still pretty good.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. So now Wehrlein is all over the back of Augusto Farfus, and is really, really harrying him, but Augusto Farfus is, you know, going to be stoic in his defence as well. So Pascal Wehrlein got to try and find a way. The DRS wing goes down. You can see it on the Pascal Wehrlein car. As again he reels in this Augusto Farfus BMW. They're heading up towards the NGK chicane. Augusto Farfus going to have, he's going to have the inside line, but Pascal was able to carry more speed through, and he got the overtake done. And I have to say that was a good one from Pascal Wehrlein. He lined that up perfectly and executed it perfectly as well.
Remember DRS? Well done, mate, well done.
No, he's happy there. Fabulous move that was, round the outside of Farfus, but the team reminding Augusto, right, you've got DRS now, so you can get him back if you want. But Pascal fired up. Now he's sort of settled down a bit and concentrating on the driving. He's going well again. So that move puts him up to 8th, but it should be 7th once Rocky does his pit stop, if he ever goes in.
Yes.
Ecky's under investigation, I notice. So he's a move. Look, that's a fantastic move around the outside. It's always a bit embarrassing as a driver if somebody goes around the outside of you because they've had more distance to cover and they've clearly been a bit braver on the brakes. But obviously DRS did play its part in that. He still had to make the corner though.
Oh, he did. He got to turn in and slow it down.
That was a great move. Not too bad for somebody who's only been in DTM for 2 years.
Okay. There is Tom Blomqvist, who's running down there. Well, it says P5, but of course, effectively, it's P4 because Mike Rockefeller is still choosing to stay out there, isn't he? And remarkable lap times that he is still being able to produce on very, very used tyres now. There's Matthias Ekstrom, who is P11 with Timo Glock ahead of him. Everyone will move up a place, of course, when Mike Rockefeller does choose to stop.
There is a tidy move from Andrea Tombe to squeeze through and gain a place at the last turn. And that was nicely done. So that's going to put Tombe up to 14th place now with that overtake on Maxime Martin, who's struggling. Yesterday's winner down in 15th place, not really getting anywhere. So Rocky's still out. 124.3s he's doing on a fairly consistent basis. So he's a second a lap slower than Molyneux, who's now flying back away from Di Resta.
Yes.
But his pace is comparable with Di Resta, Spengler, Blomqvist and everybody else in the top 6. Fantastic job by Rocky.
So the standout one is Molyneux, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the reason Matthias Ekstrom is under investigation is for the pit stop light. Now, that's for the light that you have to shine in the rear quarter window of the car, which says that you have done your pit stop, as we see Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich then. Be pretty pleased with Molyneux. Be pretty pleased. I think that Rockefeller is coming in now.
He's done well. So where's this going to put him back out?
Molina 23.9, Di Resta 24.3.
So Pascal asking who's the leader.
24.6.
Pascal asking who's the leader and then getting an idea of what sort of times he needs to be doing in terms of his laps now that he's got clear air. Good stop from the team there, from Phoenix to get Rocky back out. Should just be in the points, I think.
Rockefeller exiting pit lane.
He's going to be racing Wehrlein as well, isn't he?
He is.
It's going to be tight. Right, where are you going to filter it, Mike? In between the two of them, by the looks of things. Just ahead of Farfus, just behind Wehrlein. So that will filter him back into 8th position with Wehrlein 7th.
So they were hoping that they would be able to get him ahead of the Pascal Wehrlein car, but didn't happen. He was racing Farfus out of the pit lane in the end. There is Pascal Wehrlein, who, as Chris highlighted, has been on the team radio once again. Just wanted to know what everyone around him is doing in terms of lap time, so that where he needs to put that car.
Watch out for Rockefeller behind you. Watch out for Rockefeller behind you. We deal with.
Keen on his radio use is Pascal, that's for sure. He can not only...
No DRS at the moment. You have no DRS at the moment.
Well,
I think he's more asking if Rocky's close enough to DRS, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And of course, Pascal's out of DRS, isn't he? So Rocky is going to have that boost bonus, if you like, of being able to deploy that DRS wing. There is Tom Blomqvist. And it's Maximilian Gertz, Danny Juncadella. Before we see Pascal Wehrlein and Mike Rockefeller and Augusto Farfus. So Wehrlein really needs to get onto the back of Daniel Juncadella, or get within a second of him, to give himself that DRS which he could use to defend against any charge from Mike Rockefeller. But if the charge from Rocky comes sooner than that, Wehrlein could fall prey here.
It's worth mentioning that Rocky's in one of the heavier cars this weekend as well, so he's doing a really good job there, keeping Farfus behind him. Timo Glock with Eki. Eki still stuck behind him.
Championship prediction, as you can see on screen, as it is at the moment, be Wehrlein on 161, Mortara on 128, Eki on 127, and Spengler on 119.
33 points clear, with 50 still for grabs. Looking good, isn't it?
Yep.
The German. Only his second season at DTM. 3 wins in his career already. 1 last year, 2 this year. Matthias Ekstrom then just about in the points again. No, in fact, he's not. He's 11th because Rocky's a good tactic. But DRS in action, picking up the toe, having a look on the way into the chicane. Got to be careful though, because he's got that pretty quick BMW, which has got nothing to lose from the back of the grid, right behind him. And Tomczyk has a look now, and who's coming after them? But Edo Mortara as well, so he's getting in the battle. This is, for the final point or so, this is going to be an interesting second half of the race. Nicky weaving again, blocking him though is Timo Glock. Have another bite of the cherry, maybe into the corner. BMW Tomczyk goes wide. Look at Mortara as well. He pulled off a daredevil move there yesterday, which wasn't without contact, as Bruno Spengler will testify. But we know the Italian will have a go, and he just needs to try and score any kind of point he can here. And he's going to have a go at Tomczyk. Look, looks to the inside and to the left-hander at the Mercedes Arena.
Pascal, I know.
Now, what Pascal is trying to say there is, I need DRS. Therefore, tell Juncadella to take his foot off a bit.
Yes.
Isn't he?
2.8 seconds behind. Oh, look at this, Mortara almost rubbing paintwork here with Tomczyk. This is a great little battle going on. 2 feisty drivers here. Mortara trying his best to get through. Tombo's going pretty well as well, just behind them in 14th position. And look how that has allowed the 2 ahead to get away from them, Dave.
Extraordinary, isn't it? Tomczyk, who had a torrid time of it, has had a torrid time of it all season long, really.
Overtake Juncadella in turn 10. Overtake Juncadella in turn 10.
There you go. You know what you got to do. So does Daniel, for the good of everyone on the team. Pascal's going to get his request now. Eki's got to have a go for it here. Oh, look at this. Under pressure from Mike Rockefeller. So now he's going to have to concentrate on defending rather than attacking Juncadella. This is going to get tasty, isn't it?
It is going to get tasty. Well, Juncadella is not going to be too difficult for Pascal Wehrlein to get past, that's for sure. But he is having to drive with the rearview mirror constantly on Mike Rockefeller. And of course, what he needs to do is for Danny Juncadella to play the game here and not cause a problem to Pascal Wehrlein, but immediately slot back in behind Wehrlein to block Rocky.
Yeah, trouble is if Juncadella lets one go, probably he's going to lose 2, maybe even 3 places with Farfus there as well. I was about to say Ekstrom's got to try and go for it here on Glock, because they've got this little bit of breathing space now over Tomczyk and Mortara, and he's pushing hard, but he didn't get through. So Wehrlein closing up to the Mercedes of Juncadella, the ex-Formula 3 champion. He knows he's going to let him pass, but defend from Rocky. Here we go. Ooh. Turn 10, they said, didn't they? That's there.
This could all go horribly wrong, you know.
Yeah, turn 10 was where it was supposed to happen. That's the chicane, and it hasn't. Juncadalla's caught between a rock and a hard place here. He doesn't know what to do, does he? Here you go then, Dave. Turn 1. This is going to be fun.
It is. This could all end in tears. So Danny Juncadella, this.
Showing his nose, his Wehrlein. Ankadea doing his best to stay out of the way.
Ooh.
No. I think we might get some more radio traffic from Pascal in a second.
Now, just thinking back to Austria. Chris, I wish I wasn't. Bit of deja vu coming here, isn't there? Oh, no. Of course, Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich is not allowed on the radio now. Right, I didn't say that. Now, Rocky really is all over the back of Pascal Wehrlein here, and Augusto Farfus is buying back into the action. Danny Ankadea, actually, I don't think is playing the game quite the way that Pascal Wehrlein would like him to play it, is he?
Well, we had the instruction to Wehrlein, pass at turn 10.
It didn't.
I'm not sure Ankadea heard the same instruction. It's a bit Max Verstappen, this, isn't it? So Ankadea trying desperately to get his best result of the season in 6th place, but also aware that the championship leader, Mercedes main man, is right there. It's going to happen now, isn't it? Surely. Yes. It's at turn 10, but it's on the next lap round. Will Rocky cheekily try and get through as well? He will, but that was clever from Ankadea.
In fairness,
he managed to
well, didn't he?
Yeah, managed to get the Audi behind him for now, but maybe not for long. Here comes Rocky again. Now, we're having a go into the final turn at Coca-Cola. Will that compromise his exit speed and maybe give Farfus a chance to get past him?
Well, as they head into turn 1, this could be very exciting.
Timo Glock's having fun again here. Is Tombe on Matara. Matara trying to pass and defend at the same time here. Oh, Edo's going to have a go here. Bit of contact with Timo Glock, but he will get through into the next turn, surely. And look at Tombe, Dave. Gone through, gained one, lost one, and gets tapped into a spin! Second in the championship, Mortara, bang, into the barriers, points gone. He's not going to score any now. You get back in the race. He had to attack, didn't he? But well, there were 3 of them go for the same corner there.
Okay, race over, bringing the car.
Yeah, Edo, come in.
Oh, he's just going to give in now. Save the car.
Stupid, so stupid.
Why
24.5, Spengler 24.5, Blomqvist 24.5, Goetz 24.
There was a daredevil move on Glock. He was happy about that, and he gave a bit of afters, didn't he? Because Mortara, to be fair, his move on Glock was quite aggressive. Glock was forced out of the way, and Glock said, okay,
"Ta-da, you're going in."
That's
now
you're
what
in
he
front
said.
of me. Bye-bye. Not sure who the engineer was calling stupid there, Edo or Glock.
In P6, Danny Ankadea making his Mercedes as wide as he possibly can to try and prevent Mike Rockenfeller. And there is Matthias Ekström and Martin Tomczyk, who are running P10 and P11. Edo Mortara gets the black and white flag for pushing another car. Well, I think that might not be the only black and white flag we see.
No, it's a bit pointless anyway because he's gone into the pits and pulled out of the race. But yeah, warning. So and a drive-through penalty for Glock for pushing. Well, they were as bad as one another. So Rocky through, but deep into the corner, gets a little tap from Ankadea. Watch for Farfus here, the third in the back. He's going to have a go on the way into the Coca-Cola turn here. Farfus, he's got to go for it. It's halfway alongside Ankadea, creeping alongside. Little tap again. Ankadea, out the way you go, and Farfus is through.
Well, that's 2 places he lost in one hit, wasn't it? Hit being the operative word almost.
The move from Rocky was good, but when Rocky was deep into the corner, that really did delay Ankadea, and that was what gave Farfus the opportunity. Look who's caught them up.
Yes, here comes Ekström and Tomczyk on board with Matthias Ekström right now, who has the back end of the Danny Ankadea car to look at now. I was just looking at the pace between Pascal Wehrlein and Maximilian Goetz. There's only a 10th between them, to be fair.
Block back out, having served his penalty. Ekström 10th though. A point's not really much good to him in all honesty, so he'll get what he can out of this now. Tomczyk, after all this work, he's not going to be happy if he finishes in 11th and doesn't get any points for all his efforts from the very, very back of the field. 24th position to 11th. So Molina leads, he's just crossed the line. Lap time still very strong from the Spaniard, looking for his maiden DTM victory. 1:24.0. He's half a second quicker than Paul di Resta, who's in second place, but now 7.7 seconds behind him. Bruno Spengler is a further 2.3 seconds back in third. Tom Blomqvist is fourth. He's 1.9 seconds clear of Max Goetz, but they're lapping similar times. And then Pascal Wehrlein crosses the line now. in 6th place, and he's a 10th or so quicker than those ahead, but he's not really making much inroads. So 6th place looks to be about where he's at the moment, with 15 3/4 minutes to go.
Wow, what a race we've seen. So we watch Matthias Ekström trying to pursue Daniel Juncadella, and he's having to keep a weather eye on Martin Tomczyk behind him as well. It's the best we've seen of Martin Tomczyk. Well, it's the only we've seen of Martin Tomczyk, given he wasn't in the race yesterday.
Yeah.
Here's the championship prediction as it stands. Wehrlein on 163, Matthias Ekström on 128. Then it would be Mortara and Spengler, P3 and P4 in the championship, and the points that you can see on screen right now. There's a great onboard shot then from onboard the Matthias Ekström car as he reels in that Daniel Juncadella Mercedes-Benz ahead of him. Stay on board with him as he tracks Juncadella all the way round onto the...
Di Resta 24.5, Blomqvist 24.5, Götz 24.8.
Pascal being advised of the pace of those ahead of him.
24.6 for Wehrlein last time around.
Try to catch Wehrlein. Catch Wehrlein.
Yeah, they just said Götz made a mistake, and he has had a slow lap, 125.8. So Wehrlein's taken a second out of him there, and he's now 6.5 seconds behind. Still a way to go.
And you think Götz made a mistake?
They said that on the radio, didn't they? Götz has made a mistake and lost a second, so that's what they were telling Wehrlein. Either way, he's had a bad lap, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. And either way, what it's doing is playing into the hands of Pascal Wehrlein, so it might not be the only mistake he makes.
Yes.
How dare I? Right. Molina.
Don't know what you mean, Dave.
No, of course not. There you can see them.
Now, yesterday was the first time this season we've had 3 different manufacturers on the podium, and it's happening again today. An Audi, a Mercedes, and a BMW, first, second, and third.
Well, there is Pascal Wehrlein in hot pursuit of the seemingly struggling Maximilian Götz. Someone that isn't struggling, though, is Mike Rockenfeller, who's been told to pursue him, hasn't he? Of course, which would be good news.
He is the fastest man on the circuit at the moment, Mike Rockenfeller,
right.
124.2. Even the leaders only do 124.5s. So, yeah, by a few tenths of a second, Rocky is he's looking very quick. He's in 7th place. Pascal Wehrlein is 2.3 seconds in front of him, and he's just taken 0.6 of a second out of him on that lap alone.
Well, look at the Pascal Wehrlein. Last lap did a 124.8, and Maximilian Götz, who's clearly having a mare at the moment, Chris, did a 126.9.
And not having him there is Mike Rockenfeller, who did another 124.2, took another 0.6 out of him. So the 11 Green Phoenix machine is on a flyer here.
There is Maximilian Götz. And in the 84 car, which is running in P5 at the moment, Pascal Wehrlein desperately trying to catch him. Of course, Pascal Wehrlein in P6. And now, within sight is Pascal Wehrlein. What is the gap between them now? So there is Wehrlein, and Rocky is really catching him, isn't he?
Slowest car on the track at the moment is Max Götz. Oddly enough, in 5th place. 6th is Wehrlein. 7th is Rocky, catching both of those ahead of him. Mollen has gone through with another lap of 124.7, so his pace is going off the boil a little bit, but he has got 7.5 seconds over Paul Di Resta. He's only 0.3 quicker. Matching Di Resta's time is Spengler, and here we go. Through goes Pascal Wehrlein.
All of a sudden,
one Mercedes is in front of another.
Yes.
Got to get on with it now, though, Pascal, because Rocky's coming.
10 laps. Attack Götze.
Yeah, Rocky being told to attack Götze. I think he probably was going to have a go anyway.
Yes, I think you're right. Interestingly, Max will become blemish-free now.
Yeah, 129 last lap, so 5 seconds he lost in that last lap. So, Molina leads, Di Resta second, looking for his best finish of the year. Spengler 3rd, Blomqvist 4th, Wehrlein 5th, Götz 6th, Rockenfeller 7th, Farfus is 8th, and Gadea 9th, Ekström 10th, just in front of Tomczyk and Tombe, who are right with him.
So there we see P6 and P7 now, Maximilian Götz and Mike Rockenfeller. And it's just be interesting to look at the lap times next time around. But Wehrlein now has got past Maximilian Goetz, is able to get up the road.
Of course, Rocky's got newer tyres than everybody else because he was the last one in the pits, wasn't he?
Yep.
By some measure, by 4 or 5 laps.
He stayed out there for a long while, didn't he? Here comes Danny Juncadella, here comes Matthias Ekstrom through the NGK chicane. It gets busy, very busy through there, and Martin Tomczyk could take 2 in 1 here.
He's going to do it. All the way to Coca-Cola curve, back with Ekstrom as through goes Tomczyk. Least favourite corner this has become Juncadella. That's where he's been losing all of his places. But it's at the chicane, it's the exit to the chicane, which is so crucial on that run into Coca-Cola curve. But Juncadella now has DRS and will have a go back at Tomczyk, Dave.
Well, that was a brilliant move from Martin Tomczyk, who just anticipated what everyone is going to do. And, well, he was just there ready to seize that opportunity and did so. So Matthias Ekstrom still looking at the back of Daniel Juncadella, but he's got the Martin Tomczyk car ahead of it now as well.
Yeah. Tomczyk's been able to save all of his fresh rubber, of course, for this race, having not been out in qualifying in the race yesterday. So he'll have plenty of grip in both parts of the race, and he's making it work. Boxed out there, wasn't he, Juncadella? Had to get off the throttle. That really did delay Eki, and then just driving past the pair of them was the BMW of Tomczyk. Getting an extra gear there. So a little bit unfortunate there, Ekstrom.
1 second ahead of him, so he gets DRS.
Copy that, copy that. 8 more laps to go, Pascal, 8 more laps.
Well, there comes Eki again. And through the NGK chicane.
This is for a point now as well, because Eki's out of the points again in 11th.
So the battle for P9, then Tomczyk, Juncadella, Ekstrom, and now Tombe is in that pack as well. And it's going to be Maxime Martin down there in P13, just into the picture now.
Closes in, but can't get through at turn 1. That wide, and then closing up into the Mercedes arena. But Juncadella doing a good job through there. Tombe getting a bit closer to Ekstrom, if anything. Playboy liveried car, so Ekstrom stays in 11th place. The race leader, he's losing a few tenths of a second a lap.
Go for it. Push.
But he's still well clear. Push then, they say into Wehrlein. Yeah, Blomqvist is struggling a bit at the moment, 125.2. He's in 4th place, is Tom, and half a second a lap slower than Wehrlein. So they're telling Pascal to have a go for this, see if he can catch and pass Blomqvist for more points in 4th place.
Well, of course, he's not being threatened by Mike Rockenfeller because Rocky is effectively being held up by Maximilian Goetz, who's suddenly renewed his pace and has become error-free. So that means that Mike Rockenfeller has got to try and find a way past Maximilian Goetz. There's Augusto Farfus just gone through on the picture, and there is the hard-charging Martin Tomczyk, who, having got past Danny Juncadella, is gapping him nicely now, isn't he? And Matthias Ekstrom's still stuck behind that Mercedes-Benz in P11, so he's utterly pointless, isn't he? Unless he can find a way past Danny Juncadella, which at the moment he doesn't look close enough to be able to do so.
No, absolute waste of time finishing 11th though, isn't it? So he will have a go, I'm sure of that. Just got to be careful of Tombe behind him as well. He's there to pick up the pieces if an opportunity should arise. On board with Matthias Ekstrom, then the 2-time champion, the number 5 Audi there with the Red Bull livery, trying his best to get 1 point like he did yesterday. Won't be as easy as it was yesterday though. To get that point, he's going to have to fight it because he's going up against another manufacturer, the guys of Mercedes and Daniel Juncadella. Pascal Wehrlein just did a 124.8 and again took the best part of half a second out of Tom Blomqvist.
So he is catching him, isn't he?
He is. It's going to be a tall order with 6.5 minutes to go. He needs really to be taking more like a second a lap out of him. But he's just got to try and keep the pressure up, Dave.
There is Paul de Resta, who is running in P2. Bruno Spengler is P3. And to be fair, because there has been so much action going on elsewhere through the pack, we've hardly seen the P1, 2 and 3 cars because all the action has been elsewhere, and clearly those are the battles that we're going to bring to you. But
6 laps, Pascal, 6 laps.
Molina leads with a 6.9 second advantage over Paul di Resta.
Well, Götze needs to play wingman here, doesn't he?
He does.
Rocky behind.
He's sticking with Pascal, isn't he? That's for sure. And Mike Rockefeller, who, as you made the very, very good point, because he was the last to pit, is on the freshest tyres of anyone out there. He, of course, is able to keep with them, but
There's a long brake pedal,
he's suffering with a long brake pedal as well. That will hamper his efforts at trying to get past Maximilian Götze ahead.
Götze's done really well this weekend.
Yes, he has.
5th yesterday, 6th today, which could maybe have even been higher. And he's looked comfortable running with these guys. And when you consider that Götze's one of only 6 drivers in the field that hasn't won a race in DTM. Fair enough, he's only a newcomer to the series, but you know the quality that's out there in terms of former champions, which we have several, and race winners, of which we have 18 of the 24 have been DTM race winners. You know, it's a competitive field, and he's done a good job this weekend as Max Götze.
Yes, it's the best we've seen of him, to be fair. There is Matthias Ekstrom still tucked in behind Daniel Juncadella and cannot find neither the pace.
But it's great, it's a show. It's really a show.
You can't find the pace to even get close to Juncadella, let alone trying to pass him. If anything, Juncadella is coming back at Tomczyk now, I would suggest.
And ahead, Blomqvist has started to respond to the pressure that has been slowly developing from Wehrlein. So Blomqvist in 4th place, just done his best lap for a while at 1:24.8, and only lost 0.3 of a second to Wehrlein. So I think Wehrlein, unless Blomqvist really does start to struggle in the last few minutes of the race, will have to settle for 5th place. But again, he's going to extend his championship lead going into the final round.
Here is our race leader, Miguel Molina, with 7.4 seconds ahead of Paul di Resta, who is there in P2 in that Mercedes-Benz. Then we see Bruno Spengler, who is P3. And it's somewhat time before we see Tom Blomqvist, in fact, only now going through that NGK chicane, which Pascal Wehrlein is now approaching with Maximilian Götze and Mike Rockefeller as they occupy positions 5, 6, and 7. I think you're right. I think it's going to be a very, very tall order for Pascal Wehrlein to be able to get onto Blomqvist. As you say, he's responded, hasn't he? And 1:24.9 for Blomqvist last time around. Well, 0.3 out from Pascal Wehrlein, who took 0.3 out of the Blomqvist time, but nothing like enough with just 3 minutes left to run.
So not for the first time this season, our top 3 today is totally different to our top 3 yesterday. The battle to watch, I think, is going to be the one for 10th between Juncadella and Ekstrom as we go into the final 3 minutes of the race now. But to be fair to Juncadella, he is looking more and more comfortable keeping Ekstrom behind him, isn't he? And if anything, maybe starting to get a bit closer to the back of Tomczyk in 9th. He's had a stellar drive, hasn't he, from the back of the field?
This is Christian Vitouris on Maxime Martin then, yesterday's race winner. You wouldn't believe it, would you? Mired down there in P13. Christian Vitouris is P14, and Vitouris is taking the battle to Maxime Martin at the moment in the BMW. Let's go on board with Christian Vitouris then. Down through the sequential gearbox, very nearly into the
Pascal, 3 more laps.
As Pascal Wehrlein has advised that he's got 3 more laps to do it. There's Nico Müller, who is running down in P16 with Antonio Felix da Costa ahead of him in P15. Drivers we've lost, Mortara Paffett and Wickens and Timo Scheider. Back to this.
Out of red, -20.
Okay, Max, 3 laps to go. Good job. 3 laps to go.
We're back with the Matthias Ekstrom and Pascal Wehrlein. Radio traffic has been busy this afternoon, Chris.
Tell Pascal to be careful with his tyres now as they start to get worn, and just, I think, going to stop attacking Blomqvist. Now, it was always a tall order. Taking another 0.4 out of him, but he's still over 6 seconds behind 4th place. So Wehrlein just got to nurse the car now, settle for 5th. Got Götze behind him, shouldn't be an issue. Götze's just got to try and hang on now and keep Rockefeller behind, which should be okay because Rockefeller, as we've heard on the radio, has got a long brake pedal and is beginning to struggle now.
Into the final minute we go then, and Pascal Wehrlein with the protection of Maximilian Götze right behind him. is running P5, Gertz is P6, then it is Mike Rockefeller P7, who Chris has just advised is running with that very long brake pedal at the moment, which is hampering his efforts to get on terms with Maximilian Gertz and therefore try and go for an attack on Pascal Wehrlein, which would be utterly futile now with just one lap after the completion of this one to do in this second of two DTM races, and this one has been, well, littered with excitement. Now, is Matthias Ekström going to have a last lap lunge on Daniel Juncadella, do you think, Chris?
Yeah, should be 2 to go because Molina got through before the clock ticked down, and it's 60 plus.
Two more.
Yeah, 60 plus 1 lap, so 2 including the one they are starting now. So that's good news for Ekström, and not so good news for Juncadella. But Juncadella, quick in a straight line, isn't he? He's picking up DRS as well, so again, that's negating the DRS advantage that the Audi might get. Almost into the back of Tomczyk there. There might have been a glance of contact. That might help Eki here. He swings back to the inside, but the line is covered by Juncadella, who saw that coming, knew he'd be slow to the next turn, and defended like crazy. So half a chance for Eki, but he couldn't make it stick.
Well, the 1 and a bit laps that we've got left going to be very, very interesting indeed, as Matthias Ekström really does turn up the wick on Danny Juncadella now. Martin Tomczyk makes his escape up the road, but Danny Juncadella going to have to make that Mercedes as wide as possible to try and deny Matthias Ekström, who's got the bit right between his teeth now and knows that time is running out for him to be able to try and get past this Daniel Juncadella car. That was the little touch between Juncadella and Tomczyk in replay, and Matthias Ekström was going to try and buy in and take advantage of that, wasn't he? He was looking for the inside line there, but Juncadella had got it covered off well, hadn't he?
Yeah, good driving that. Yeah, Tomczyk wrestling the steering as he got there from behind there, but no change.
Last lap.
On to the last lap, gone our race leaders. Top 6 all through. And Wehrlein, oh, here comes Rocky, having a last-ditch lunge on the way into turn 1 for the final time in the race, but no way through there. So Rocky remains in 7th place.
So Wehrlein then is P5, Maximilian Gertz is P6, then it's Mike Rockefeller P7. So Rocky might try a last attempt, but this man, well, it's been awesome. Very nearly 8 seconds ahead of the P2 driver, which is Paul di Resta, out on his own, as everyone else has. Just look at the gap, Chris, between Molina. Miguel has done a supreme job out there to lead this race and to lead it by such a margin over Paul di Resta in P2, as Molina heads now towards the checkered flag and takes the win in the Nürburgring. Miguel Molina. Paul di Resta for P2, Bruno Spengler P3, and stand by for a whole gaggle to come behind.
Last chance has gone for Rocky, still trying though on the way to the final corner. What about Eki? Can he have a go for this final point and try and get through after all he's trying? Wehrlein has taken 5th place. So Blomqvist 4th, Wehrlein 5th, Götz 6th, Rocky 7th. Farfus is going to be 8th, and Juncadella is going to hang on to the final point, isn't he, in 10th place, Dave?
Great job. Sorry for the pit stop. Great overtaking.
So Hans-Jürgen Abt being congratulated there. What a race.
Pascal sort of apologising there for getting a bit cross with the team in the middle of the race after the pit stops.
He wasn't very chipper about it. Verena has done a great job for us and continues to do so with the boss of Abt Racing, Hans-Jürgen. Here is Verena.
Hans-Jürgen, up with me now. Congratulations. Molina really did a fantastic job, so you can be proud about that. But on the other hand, how nerve-wracking must this race have been for you? Edo, catastrophe, and Eki fighting so hard and yet couldn't quite make it into the points. So what's going through your head right now?
Okay, first of all, I'm really happy for Miguel, because I think it was a long time, his first victory, and he was so quick. But in the end, we're fighting for the championship with Matthias and Edo, and we could not achieve because we had a lot of problems on the track. You can see it, what's happened there, but in the end, that's the way, and we had to be better in qualifying than we maybe was finished today more better, you know. But in the end, we are happy because victories for Audi is also very important on this championship, and he did it.
But still, speaking of the championship, 50 more points to collect. You going to do a bit of magic in Hockenheimring, or is the title out of reach?
No, of course we will fight until the end, and we're still P2 and P3, and we will see what's going on.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, and back to you guys. There we go.
Well done, Verena. So, confirmation of the result then. Miguel taking the win, P1. Paul de Resta, and then Bruno Spengler, P2 and 3. Then it was Tom Blomqvist, Pascal Wehrlein, Maximilian Goertz, Mike Rockefeller, Augusto Farfus, Martin Tomczyk, Daniel Juncker-Deyer. And then it was Matthias Ekström and Adrian Tombe before we saw P13 for yesterday's winner, Maxime Martin. Reinforcing what we were saying about you can't take race 1 and think, well, that's the form guide for race 2.
There is no form guide. Miguel Molina was 17th in the championship before this weekend. He's won the race. Anyone can win. It's wide open. It really is. It's been a great format. It's been a breath of fresh air, this double-header format, the new qualifying system, and it's really mixed things up, hasn't it? You don't get the same person winning every single race. You don't get the same type of car, the same team winning every single race. It is ultra competitive, and the championship is going to go down to the wire, but it will go into Hockenheim with a big advantage now for Pascal Wehrlein.
Yes, it will. And you know, there are lots of racing drivers, and I know that earlier on when you were talking about Felix Rosenqvist in Formula 3, he was saying that, you know, his thoughts are not on the championship. Well, actually, Pascal Wehrlein's thoughts have very much been on the championship, haven't they? He's you know, how he's delivered in every single race. You know, he's been his eye has been towards the big prize. He's just got a little bit closer to that. There is the Drivers' Championship as it stands, with Pascal Wehrlein now on 165 points. Eduardo Mortara 128, then it's Ekström 127, Spengler on 119. Here comes that number 17 car of Miguel Molina, who takes his win here at the Nürburgring.
That means 19 of the 24 drivers on the grid are race winners. Well done, Miguel. It's come close a few times in the past, hasn't he?
Yes, it has.
And did a great job. Flawless at the front of the field. Just had the edge on everybody all the way through on pace in both the first and second parts of the race. Very quick after the pit stops as well, which helped his cause. He was only second and a half clear of de Resta after the pit stops, and then he just put in a few really good laps, got himself a breathing space, and in the end he wins by 7.5.
7.5 seconds, that's a huge margin, isn't it? And now he'll be allowed to go and celebrate.
Yep, do the formalities first. Popular winner, I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
Nothing like that first victory, is there? Especially when you've had some hard times, you've been close before. So Audi are celebrating. Mercedes, though, have had a good weekend, particularly in terms of the championship. Here's Uli Fritz with Verena.
So, Uli Fritz, that was a pretty good race. That was very interesting to see. You're 35, or rather Pascal Wehrlein's 35 points ahead. So perfect team strategy, it seems. And also only 50 more points to collect. So do you think this really was a pre-decisive race in regards to the championship?
I think it's difficult to say. I mean, the team did a brilliant job today. We could even extend our lead in the championship, so that's a good step to go to Hockenheim, that is for sure. But to be honest, yeah, in DTM everything can happen, and yeah, that is definitely not a guarantee for Hockenheim already.
But for now, you're a happy man.
Of course, for now we are happy. I mean, gaining a podium with de Resta is just great, and yeah, all the other team did a great job.
Thank you very much, Uli Fritz, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. So Miguel Molina then takes his win, and must mention my Spanish colleague Carlos, who will be absolutely thrilled about that. As we see Hans-Jürgen Abt there. And interesting, Uli Fritz saying nothing is guaranteed, but you know, Mercedes are the big winners here, and they've taken a step closer, haven't they? And you know, Hockenheim is going to be very interesting, but look at this Drivers' Championship with Pascal Wehrlein on 165 points. Well, Edo Mortara is the closest to follow on 128, and a point between Edo and Matthias Ekström, but it's got to go horribly wrong at Hockenheim, hasn't it? Really.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just needs a steady. He needs to keep doing what he's been doing a lot of the year, actually, having steady results, picking up the points. He hasn't got to go out and win it now. The pressure, in a way, is on the others, because they have really got to go and try and win races now. But a disastrous weekend, really, for Ekström. 1 point from 2 races. That's all he's managed to pick up.
Well, Of course, De Resta will be on the podium for P2. He is the best placed Mercedes-Benz driver. Great drive from Paul De Resta. Great drive, though, from Miguel, who finished some 7.5 seconds ahead of Paul De Resta, P2, and Bruno Spengler, P3. But there is Pascal Wehrlein, and, well, we heard with the radio transmissions just how utterly determined he is, and how so disappointed he is if just one tiny element goes wrong. And all right, losing a couple of places in the pit stop isn't a tiny element, I accept that, but you know, he's
I mean, in the end it didn't affect things too much. He maybe could have got 4th place today if he'd been a bit closer to Tom Blomqvist going into those final stages and pushing on, but I'm not sure he'd have been on the podium today. And again, you know, he's taking points away from everybody around him, so not the best result that you could possibly get, but in terms of the long game, exactly what he needed. About on Paul De Resta, we didn't see too much of him in the race, did we? But he's been really quick this weekend. It's been one of his strong weekends. It's good to see him back on form there, taking a fine 2nd place finish. And Bruno Spengler is always quick at the Nürburgring, 3 times a winner here in the past, and he's been really quick all the way through as well, hasn't he? And just unlucky really yesterday not to get any points, otherwise he'd have been in the top 5 in both races this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
He still just about has a chance of the championship. It's pretty slim. He's 46 points behind, but Bruno will keep pushing. He's driven well this weekend.
So the emotion there, clear to see, isn't it?
Yeah, job well done that. Well that. Race victor, and not just sort of hanging on in there at the end, but you know, pulling away all the time from everybody. Lost a few tenths, lost maybe a second at the end of the race, but that was him nursing the car, I think.
So also in the picture there is to the very left Bruno Spengler, and then it was Paul De Resta as
the doctor
Ulrich is holding his flag.
Yeah, even the doctor has to hold the flag.
So podium being ready then, and just a few moments away from the drivers being brought out onto the podium.
These BMW drivers, they've been winning races lately, so including yesterday, of course. So it's good for Audi to be back up there, not with their championship contender, but at least winning a race again.
P3 goes the way of this man who had a rough and tumble time of it in race 1 yesterday, Bruno Spengler, up on the podium to take P3. Brilliant drive from Paul De Resta in his Mercedes-Benz to take P2. Good to see the former Formula 1 star back up on the podium, Paul De Resta, but taking such an important win in the Audi RS5 DTM. Miguel Molina is the winner here in race 2 at the Nürburgring. Certainly launched himself at the team, didn't he?
Absolutely delighted. So we're getting ready for podium here, our 2nd podium of the weekend, of course, for DTM at the Nürburgring. 3rd visit to the podium this season for Paul De Resta. Still isn't where he wants to be. Used to being at the front, of course, in his 1st campaign in DTM. But he's had a few highlights. He's presenting the podium. 5 to our race winner, Miguel Molina. They'll savour this moment. He'll never forget this one, Dave. Your first DTM win. It's a big, big moment for him.
He might have 2 flags. Pull the rest up. Spengler normally sprints. There you go.
He's a tiny bit happier than he was yesterday.
Yeah, just a bit.
Sportsline, our winning team.
So, und damit kommen wir nun zur Ehre des Siegers, zur Ehre.
National anthem to play out then for Miguel Molina. So the national anthem plays out for a maiden DTM win for Miguel Molina. And Mr. Axel Verstorn then, the senior vice president there, making that. What a beautiful trophy that one is, and that's one he'll cherish, isn't it, Chris?
That's going right to the top of the mantelpiece, that one. Make way, pictures, frames, anything else, that's the one he's been after for a long time. At the Sportsline for Audi, our winning team. And once again, 3 different nationalities up there on the podium. Truly international championship, this DTM. Mit Heidemann, who was the Olympic fencing champion back in 2008. Another sporting star. We've had several of them here this weekend, present trophies. And Paul de Resta looking really happy to be back on form. Bruno's usually got a smile on his face, hasn't he, to be fair? He was a bit grumpy yesterday, but I think understandably so. What a good result for sport for him.
They are truly, truly impressive trophies there. And all smiles up there on the podium. And then it's let rip with the Henkel Trocken.
There we go. So Miguel Molina, the 12th different winner this season. That means half of the drivers have now won races, Dave. That's crazy, isn't it? We like it, though.
Yes, absolutely. I tell you what, it has provided some incredible entertainment and some almost heart-stopping action at times, hasn't it?
Yeah. The race has been good this weekend, hasn't it? I mean, there's lots been going on. Who'd be a marshal at turn 1 this weekend? They've been busy down there, haven't they?
Yeah. Yes, they have. And sometimes you wouldn't want to be a race engineer at the end of the radio either, would you? So, some super slow-mo shots then of the celebration moments up there on the podium for Miguel Molina. Taking that fine, fine victory. Paul de Resta P2, Bruno Spengler P3. And, well, mentioned in the program yesterday, Chris, that, you know, Marco Wittmann's dominance last year meant that, of course, the championship was won before the final 2 rounds. This year, far from the case, which really, really proves that this new format, which you mentioned earlier on, really is delivering everything it's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. No doubt about it. Airlines in the driving seat here. Was it 35 points clear? Bruno Spengler has had a happy end to what was otherwise a frustrating weekend, and you've got to grab a word with him, Verena.
Very happy end, and you just dried up because you're soaked, obviously. But you must be very, very happy because from P5 fighting all the way to P3 is fantastic. But on the other hand, are you now also a bit more disappointed that yesterday didn't work out so well? I mean, it's both sides, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's a 50-50 weekend because, you know, if yesterday I would have a victory or a second place, it would look very good for the championship. But that's how it is. You know, I was very unlucky yesterday. Today was a bit better. I had a good start. Had a good strategy from the team. The car was very good through the whole race. Although it was missing a bit of pace, you know, to go the pace of Miguel Molina, who was very, very quick today. But definitely very happy also for the job, you know, from the guys last night. My car was completely broken after the race, and they did a great job repairing the car last night. So I was very happy to bring them some good points today. And for BMW, it's good as well, you know, some good points for the Manufacturer Championship. So now we have to see how it looks like in Hockenheim, but maximum we push as much as we can and try to get the best results like we did the whole season.
I'm sure. Thank you so much, Bruno. And I'm going to see who I can grab next. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. You always get a good line from Bruno Spangler. He always tells it the way it is, whether it's good or bad, Chris, to be fair. You always know you're going to get it from Bruno. There's a great facial expression from our race winner there, isn't it? I think it's got a bit more fizz than he expected, I believe.
Yeah, good third place from Bruno Spengler. Yeah, he's right. I mean, still, you know, has an outside bet of the championship, but he would have been in a much better position had he been on the podium yesterday, which he could well have been. But BMW, as you say, continued to lead the Manufacturers' Championship, which they were last 2 years ago. Also happy and good to see back on the podium is our Scotsman, Paul de Resta with Verena.
Yes, Paul is back on the podium, second time this year, so I guess a good second place. It was a really good race for you. Are you happy about that?
Yeah, it's actually the third time. I've stood on third twice, second, so now it's the next time to go on the top. But it's been an up and down weekend, very strong to begin with. And I made a big mistake yesterday in qualifying and crashed the car. Started at the back, it was looking strong, and into today, we knew we could be at the front. And unfortunately, Miguel was just too quick, unstoppable. Credit to him, it's been a long time coming for him, but hopefully in Hockenheim, it'll be our turn to get on that top step and, you know, make the difference.
Thank you so much, Paul. And I'm going to try to grab... There he is. Congratulations. What a fantastic race you did. You had poles, I think, about 6 times, if I'm correct.
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5. And finally, you've got the victory. Your maiden victory in DTM. You have got to be up there. You've got to be raving.
Today it was a perfect day for us. Since the first lap in the warm-up to the last one in the race was perfect. Really enjoying my driving and driving the car, so today it was fantastic. The guys did a really good job yesterday night to repair the car from yesterday race, so this morning was perfect, and I'm really happy today, and also not only for me, for all the people that have been working so many times with me, and that's also for them.
Well, enjoy your victory. Congratulations again, and back to you guys.
Well, he is absolutely delighted, and so he should be as well. Fantastic. Miguel Molina taking his win, and there we can see the applause. There's Pascal Wehrlein, who has, well, he got as much out of today as he could, I guess, and he goes to Hockenheim, Chris, with a healthy, very healthy advantage, doesn't he?
And the sheer determination to win this championship. He's utterly focused. So he's been absolutely fantastic, hasn't he, Dave?
He has. So that was it. Another great race from DTM. More to come, of course, at Hockenheim. Here's Verena.
Thank you, guys. Yes, what a fantastic weekend here at the Nürburgring. And I'm so much looking forward to the grand finale in Hockenheim in 3 weeks. So we're going to see you there, and it's going to get hot, that's for